Hey coffee cuties, we are back with another banger, and today we are going to discuss whether or not birth control causes hair loss. So let's just hop right into it. Birth control pills are effective by adjusting the balance of hormones within the body. And because the growth cycle of our hair is influenced by hormones, you may experience hair loss, hair shedding, or thinning as a result to taking any form of hormonal contraceptives, including birth control pills. But before we dive deeper into that subject, I do want to take the time to point out that Black women have had a long and painful history surrounding our reproductive health. So outside of the possibilities of hair loss and things like that, which we're going to get into in a second, Black women have been faced with many harmful movements that target our ability to reproduce. One movement that comes to mind in particular is the eugenics movement of the 20th century. Now, if you don't know what eugenics is, it is a set of beliefs and practices with the goal of controlling reproductions of a population seen as less desirable, quote unquote, such as poor people, people of color, and immigrants. So this is achieved by things like litigations and mandating birth control and sterilization to prevent basically reproduction, and this is done in an oppressive way. So forced sterilization, actually, a fun fact, was legal in 32 states until the 1970s. So though the ban it's banned in every state today, it has left a lot of mistrust when it comes to Black women and the health industry, especially when it comes to our reproductive health and just our overall well-being. Another thing that I want to point out is that a fun fact about Margaret Sanger, who was the owner or the creator rather of the American League of Birth Control, which actually later turned into Planned Parenthood, that actually exists today. She is also basically given the credit for coining the phrase birth control, actually believed in eugenics, even though she alleged that the women's rights movements and all the things that she was protesting for was because she felt like it was against women's rights to tell them that they must reproduce children. But I guess she felt like it was okay for her to control people's reproduction, health, and abilities, etc., if she deemed them as less desirable. So if you're poor, if you are a person of color, etc., your girl, or even an immigrant, your girl felt like she is allowed to have control over your reproductive health and rights, etc., which is absolutely ridiculous. These facts are often brushed under the rug when the conversation of birth control, Planned Parenthood, etc. comes up. So I definitely wanted to take the time to highlight it. But now let's hop right back into the subject about, does birth control cause hair loss? So I do want to point out that there are two different types of birth control, which are hormonal and non-hormonal birth control. So if you are taking a non-hormonal type of contraceptive, you shouldn't experience any hormonal related issues such as hair loss and hair thinning or shedding, etc. However, if you are taking a hormonal birth control of any type, you may experience some form of hair loss, and it will either fall into the category of hair thinning or hair shedding. So let's get into the topic of hair thinning first. So hair thinning, also known as female pattern baldness, is actually some examples on the screen as well, or female pattern hair loss rather, it takes place gradually over time. So typically, hair thinning is an inherited issue or condition rather. However, when you take things like birth control, it can accelerate this hair thinning. So, the next topic we're going to talk about is hair shedding. So hair shedding is also known as telogenic alphavium. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Alphavium. So that is typically noticed immediately. This is caused by any type of disturbance or imbalance or shock within the body. So for some temporary, this could be temporary rather for some people, this hair loss, while other individuals, it can actually unfortunately be permanent. And this is kind of on an individual basis. So definitely pay attention to your hair, what's going on with your hair patterns, your shedding, see if it's increasing, decreasing, etc. Just really pay attention, because there actually is some hormonal birth control that actually helps with not causing that hair shedding, etc. So definitely consult with your doctor. But for now, we're going to move on and talk about how birth control actually affects the volume of your hair as well. So when it comes to things like hair thinning, such as androgenic alopecia or male pattern baldness, again, there are plenty of examples on the screen. Again, like I stated earlier, it is a genetic condition that can be inherited by either parent. So this is basically when some people's hair follicles are more sensitive to the male hormone, the androgens, and when fun fact as well, women actually also have androgens within our body as well. And some people's hair follicles are very sensitive to that increased male hormone, and it causes your hair to grow back thinner over time. And that reduces the volume of your hair, and you may even see your scalp within your hair. Again, there's examples on the screen. But another thing about the androgens is birth control can reduce the androgen phase of the hair growth cycle, which can cause more hair shedding, which will affect the volume as well. But other things that affect hair loss, I do want to point out, is things like diet, stress, lack of sleep, genetics, lifestyle, like smoking, alcohol, and hairstyle. So it's not always the birth control, but I do want to put this video out there just so you can be aware of the possible side effects and just aware of what causes hair loss, etc. So speaking of side effects, other things that you may experience when you are on birth control outside of hair loss, thinning, etc., is things like nausea, weight gain, mood swings, headache, hair thinning. Of course, we already talked about the shedding, the breast tenderness, the blood pressure changes, and spotting between periods. So if you are experiencing any of these things outside of just hair, if you're experiencing any changes in your body in a negative way, please consult with your primary doctor. But I will say a personal story when it comes to birth control. When I was a little bit younger, I actually was on Depo, and when I got off of Depo, my hormones did kind of go into whack, which caused me to have like hormonal acne, and I actually had to go to my primary doctor, which I also went to a dermatologist as well, where I got my blood work drawn, and I found out that I had increased androgens in my blood, which basically causes that male baldness pattern or whatever, or some people just say like your edges are thinning or whatever. So for me personally, I went the natural route. Thankfully, it just recovered kind of on its own. When I got off Depo, I didn't have to do anything drastic like a hair transplant or anything like that. But I took spearmint tea. Again, be sure to consult with your primary care doctor before you take anything, even something like a tea, because you don't want to have negative side effects. You have to actually get your blood work drawn to know if that is something that you're suffering from. But that worked for me. Believe any holistic methods that you have down below if someone is suffering from it, so that they can take it to their doctor and figure out what is best for them. But I do want to also leave the video off with some solutions if you are experiencing any type of hair thinning, shedding, etc., which typically, again, will be seen around the edges or the crown of the head. So definitely pay attention to those two areas. But some solutions will be, number one, consult with your primary doctor. Also, you can consult with your primary doctor to see if you can get your blood work drawn to see what type of, where your hormone levels are, etc., especially with taking the birth control. Also, to see if there is some other alternatives to birth control if you are experiencing any type of side effects. Your doctor should be able to take care of that. Also, multivitamins are good to really regulate the hormones, etc. Another thing that is good is seed cycling, where I'm going to do a video about that in the near future. I know a lot of girls with PCOS who also get prescribed birth control. Actually, that is a holistic way to kind of get their periods back on track, etc. If you're experiencing like spotting that I talked about as a possible side effect to birth control. But again, I'm going to do a separate video about that, but please consult with your doctor before you do anything that is recommended on YouTube, even on this channel. But next, your dermatologist is another good place to go if you are experiencing any type of hair loss, shedding, etc. So you can explore options that maybe even your primary care doctor did not even discuss with you, because as I stated before, there are women all over YouTube that talk about how they go to their primary doctor with these issues and they may not see anything in like the blood work, etc. So they just need someone that gives a more in-depth look and to basically treat their hair loss, etc. There's all type of things that can be done in the dermatologist's office, such as hair transplants if it's that serious. They have all type of medications and things like that they can prescribe to you versus things that you can get over the counter. So definitely go to your primary doctor, go to your dermatologist and figure out what's right for you. Another solution will be minoxidil, which you can get over the counter or it can be prescribed to you in a higher percentage. But I wouldn't recommend just going out buying stuff like that, because I've heard some negative side effects to this medication as well, even if you get it over the counter, such as headaches, etc. So again, everything needs to be ran by a doctor or dermatologist before you hop right into it. But another thing is serums. There's all type of hair growth serums on the market. As you can see, we're bombarded with them all over social media, TikTok, Shade Room, etc. So you can try to go a holistic route and try a different type of serums, etc. But again, be careful. Make sure that the ingredients are mixed well and make sure that it works well with what you have going on, etc. Another thing outside of like multivitamins, which I already addressed, is pills that are directly catered to regrowing hair, such as the Hairfinities, Nutrafalls, etc. But again, everything needs to be ran by a doctor first, because in my opinion, they are high-priced multivitamins, but you can check with your doctor to see what is best for you. But also some natural ways to just kind of balance those hormones, because as we talked about earlier, a lot of the hair loss and shedding is due to the imbalance of hormones. Sometimes it can be treated naturally and other times you need professional help. But some ways to do that naturally is through diet. I did a full video about a proper diet to grow long, healthy hair, so be sure to check that out. Also, exercise, lifestyles like reducing alcohol, smoking, etc., reducing stress, and getting your proper sleep all definitely play a role in regulating those hormones. But let me know down below what your experience has been when it comes to birth control, hair loss in general, hair thinning, because the hair loss can be more than just birth control. It can also be like, for example, any interruption in your hormones. If you just gave birth, you can have postpartum shedding, etc. Just so many things go into our hormones and our hair. So leave any and all experiences you had down below. I am definitely excited to hear from the Coley community when it comes to this topic, so we can put each other up on game, so we can educate each other properly, because as I stated earlier in the video, we have had a long and painful history when it comes to Black women and our reproductive health. But today is a new day and we are taking charge of our health and our overall well-being. We are educating each other and we are just moving forward. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to tell a friend, because we are lit over here. A lot more videos to come. Lives, coffee cutie mugs are on sale now. Be sure to check it out in my bio. Discourse pop-in. Membership channel is going to be coming back real soon. We're going to be doing watch parties. I'm trying to think of what else. It's just so many cool things. Lives, again, like I said before, turn those post notifications on. But this is the end of this video. And until next time, see ya.